Good evening, this is Keith All, and today's the last installment in a number series of how we can create box shadows using CSS and HTML. I'll link it in the description below my previous two videos regarding this topic. And today we're going to learn how we could create this shadow right here, how we could also create shadows like this on both sides of your div or element. And also, we're going to also learn how we can create inner shadows. So basically, in this particular box shadow, we're using an inset value, which means that we're going to be creating a shadow inside of the element instead of outside, like what you see here. So let's first see how we could create this shadow right here, which is right below this div. And again, if you want to see about how the CSS file looks, go to part 1 of this series. I'll explain to you how we create these white box divs, and even in this tutorial you'll see how we change the color and how we do the blurring of the radiuses and all that. So let's go up here to type 5. We're using the before studio class, which is basically we're creating a new element with this div. And what we're doing is we're going from the bottom of this div, we're going down 15%. We're starting from the left, and it goes over, starts painting it from 5% over. The width is 90%, so basically this shadow that you see here, or this element that we're creating using the Before Studio class, it's going to be the 90% of the width of what this div is. And the height is also going to be 90%. Now you don't see that because we have the z-index set to -1. We're going to set it to 1 and bring it forward. So you can see now it's brought forward. So basically, again, this background color is black, as you can see. That's what these zeros, first 3 zeros are. That's the value of black. And the 0.5, the last argument or attribute within this function, is setting the blur effect to it. So that's why it's not completely dark or opaque. The filter, of course, it's blurring this entire element. So basically that's what that is doing by 10 pixels. So let's bring this back again. So that's how we could create this box shadow, which is basically just shows up right. Even though the box shadow is, you can't see the entire thing, as you can see when I bring the z-index to 1 and it brings that element forward. It's actually, the shadow is a lot larger, but you can't see it because it sits behind this div, because I set the z-index to -1. So let's now look at the bottom two right here. Let's first work with this one here. So the background color I'm setting to the same color of the background of the body. So that's why this is now blue instead of white. Border radius, this is what the border radius is. I'm going to make it 15 pixels. So that's why it's not a sharp corner like what you see here. I'm using the border radius property to do that. Now the box shadow property, I'm creating this shadow here, this white shadow here on the left and top, and then also I'm creating a box shadow on the right side of the element and bottom. So we do that first, again, with the box shadow property. In the box shadow property, you could set multiple shadows on here by using a comma between each one. So let's first look at this one here. This one here, if you look on the right side of your screen, I have 4 values or arguments to the box shadow property. The first one is the horizontal. So basically, in this case, if I have a negative value, it's going to put the shadow on the left, which is right here. And remember, I'm using a value color of 255 for each one of these, which is a white value. So that's why you see it white. The second value is the vertical, which is, in this case, I'm using a minus or a negative, and the negative shadow is going to put it on top. So that's why you see it on top here. And of course, the third value is the blur. It blurs the shadow. That's what that does. So there's a slight blur on the shadow instead of a sharp edge like you see on this box element here. Now the second part of this, I'm building the second shadow, which is the right and left, or right and bottom. So again, the color of the shadow here is set to black, because all zeros mean it's black. And of course, I'm setting the opacity to 0.2. So that's why you hardly even see the shadow. Now, since I'm using positive values for the horizontal and vertical, what this means here, look what it means here. Horizontal, positive shadow is going to be the right. Positive shadow, or positive number for the vertical, the shadow is going to be on the bottom. So that's how you build this type of shadow here. Now let's look at the last shadow here. Again, I'm setting the background color to the same color as the background of the body. The blur rate, border radius right here is going to be 15 pixels, so that's why each corner is slightly round. Again, like I said before, the box shadow can take multiple arguments of multiple values. So I'm building 4 different shadows here. Now the first 2 shadows are going to be the same as the previous one. In other words, you're going to have a left and top, right and bottom. So I won't go over that again because they're the exact same shadows as what I explained up here in this div element, which I named 6. Now this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, but you have to understand what's happening here. Now when I prefix this shadow with an inset, that means it's going to go inside of this element and create the shadow. These other shadows were created on the outside of the element. Now the inset means what's create the shadow on the inside. Now this is backwards, as is explained up here. Now you would think by using a minus, a negative value here. Let's go up here to see what the negative value is for the horizontal. A negative value means it's going to show, the shadow is going to show on the left. Well, since this color here is white, this shadow is not shown up on the left here. It's shown up on the right. Okay? And the minus sign for the vertical, instead of it showing above, which you would think it would show up here, which it's not, it's shown on the bottom. So it's backwards. And the same thing with this one. This is referring to the last shadow, which is this black shadow here on the left and right side of this div element, or on the inside of it. So that's how you create these other types of box shadows. Hopefully this tutorial gave you a better understanding of some of the properties used in CSS and how you can create box shadows. Thank you for stopping by today. I hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe to my channel and click on that bell notification so you always get updated when a new video is ready. And also please like, share, and comment. I appreciate your time today. I appreciate you supporting this channel. And always remember to please like, share, and comment. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.